Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be having an update on Tropical Storm Henri that has recently made landfall in Rhode Island and southeastern Connecticut. That's moving to the northeast, further inland towards the southwestern part of Massachusetts, and eventually to southeastern parts of New York. Currently has sustained winds of 60 miles per hour with a pressure of 987 millibars, moving north-northwest at 12 miles per hour, so it's moving at a decent pace. However, when it gets into parts of the southeastern part of New York, it will start to stall out for a moment later today or tonight. That could bring in multiple rounds of heavy rain on the westward and southern side of the system here. And finally, tomorrow it should start to move out and move across parts of southern Vermont and New Hampshire as well. So let's go to get started with the National Hurricane Center outlook here. We got two areas to watch. Of course, you got Tropical Storm Henri. And then you also got this disturbance here, which has a pretty low chance to decrease it to a 10%, which I'm not expecting a whole lot out of the system here because it's running over cooler water, so it's in this area right here. I will also watch the Gulf of Mexico over the next several days here in this region here. Don't be surprised if the National Hurricane Center highlights an area in here. I'm also been hinting on possibly a tropical system in that zone there. So we have to watch the southwestern Gulf of Mexico again over the next couple of days. So don't be surprised if they issue a highlighted area either later today or tomorrow. But right now, the main system to focus on will be Tropical Storm Henri, which we'll click on it. And this is the cone, so this is the track of the system here. The good news is it did not make landfall as a hurricane. It died down to a tropical storm before it made landfall, but you do have tropical storm warnings across parts of southeastern Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, even including parts of southern New York as well. It includes the east, I believe it includes the eastern part of New York City as well within that tropical storm warning. It'll die down to a tropical depression probably sometime 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday. And then it'd be a post-tropical cyclone when it gets to 8 o'clock on Monday. And eventually it starts to move out towards Nova Scotia in that area. But you do see here, there's going to be a very sharp eastward turn here, especially later today here. And that's where we're going to be our main concern here. When it stalls out somewhere in this zone in here, you're going to have multiple rounds of heavy rainfall in this kind of general area right in here on the northward, well, the westward and the severed side of the system here could see multiple rounds of rain, which I'll show you guys the Hermos Model in just a moment. Here's a wind speed probabilities. Really, in the orange covers there, that's where you probably could experience some tropical storm winds. So basically, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts are expected to see tropical storm winds over the next several hours here before it dies down to a tropical depression. Peak storm surge, they've downgraded it to 2 to 4 feet. It was 3 to 5 feet in some places, but they recently downgraded that to 2 to 4 feet. So the Long Island Sound has 2 to 4 feet storm surge. Even for along the coastline of Rhode Island and southeast Massachusetts could see 2 to 4 feet storm surge. And then 1 to 2 feet up into the New Hampshire state line there could see 1 to 2 feet storm surge as well. So not really a too big deal with 1 to 2 feet storm surge, but really the main areas of concern will probably be areas in the 2 to 4 feet zone right in here. Could see some of the worst impacts with the storm surge situation. Here's your wind history, and you do see here that it did die down to a tropical storm before it made landfall. So basically, it was a hurricane to about this point right here, which is about probably a couple hundred miles offshore there from Long Island. So it did die down to a tropical storm before it made landfall, which is some good news there. And we do expect tropical storm winds to at least cover most of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts later today, maybe into parts of southeast of New York as well. But this is your observed winds right here. Now, your rainfall potential, this is going to be the next biggest concern here. It's going to be that rainfall potential. And the National The Weather Prediction Center has some places that could see 4 to 6 inches of rain, especially across parts of northeastern New Jersey, southern New York, most of Connecticut. Well, actually, the western half of Connecticut, even for western Massachusetts as well. And some places could see 6 to 10 inches of rain. And really, the main area I'll be focused on would be this area right here that could see the potential to see a significant amount of rainfall possibly later today into the overnight hours when the system here starts to stall out as well. So let's check out the Hermos model here with this system here. You do see Tropical Storm Henri making landfall at this point here. You see it makes landfall here really on the westward side here is where you have those bands of very heavy rain here. We actually had significant flooding, I believe, somewhere in the New Jersey area. In New Jersey that had some significant flooding to what was a band of pretty heavy rain here, which I'll show you guys here on the radar here. What it looks like right now, your circulation is probably somewhere right in here, probably now entering eastern Connecticut, and this band of heavy rain has caused many problems across parts of New Jersey. Like I said in the last video here, there could be a chance for a significant rainfall for some places in New Jersey where some of those models show a significant amount of rain, which unfortunately did cause some significant flooding problems across parts of New Jersey yesterday, I believe into the overnight hours as well. But your main circulation is right here. You do have a band of pretty heavy rain on the western side. So if we continue to move to the northwest and eventually makes that turn there as it gets closer to Albany, New York, very soon. And so far the Hermos is not doing too bad of a job here. It's actually doing a good job actually with Henri. But you do see here when it starts to stall out in this area in here, probably somewhere in southeastern part of New York or western Massachusetts, that's when it starts to stall out. And then on the western side here, you get these bands of just heavy rain here. And these will be the areas to monitor pretty closely here. And you just see how those bands of heavy rain go over some of the same areas. And then eventually when it starts to move to the east here, then you start to get bands of heavy rain on the southern end of the system here as well. And eventually starts to move to across parts of Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. And it's probably a tropical depression at that point. Here's the rainfall from the HER model, and you do see here it does show potentially a significant amount of rain across parts of southeastern New York, where it does have some areas reaching to the 7 to 8 inch zone. There may be a chance some places could see 8+ inches of rain. However, it'll probably be isolated in nature, but either way, even though if you don't see 8+ inches rain, I mean, even if you get 5 to 8 inches of rain, you can still see some significant problems in southeastern part of New York. Even across parts of Connecticut and Massachusetts could see a significant amount of rain as well. Having some areas having 2 inches of rain, and then you got some other areas that could see upwards of 5 inches of rain as well. But I think the main area that we need to watch very closely here over the next several hours will probably be southern New York, there where some places may have a chance to see 5 to 8 inches of rain as well. So that's something we need to keep an eye on as well. And almost forgot something here. Just popped up on my mind here. Let's check out the power outage map here as well. Of course, we're looking at Kentucky here. So if we kind of go back here to view, here's some of the power outages that we got currently going on in the United States. You do see here as we look into the northeast here. So Pennsylvania currently has a little over 2,000 people out. New Jersey, 4,800. But you get some of the better numbers is where you get up into Connecticut and Rhode Island. You have about 20,000 people without power in Connecticut, and in Rhode Island, which is the hardest hit state, has getting closer to 75,000 people without power. Massachusetts has 6,400 without power. New York has 2,300 as well. Expect these numbers to increase, especially across parts of New Jersey and southern New York, where we do have that better opportunity for tropical storm winds. And I do expect numbers to increase throughout Connecticut and Rhode Island over the next several hours here, where they do continue to see some of the tropical storm winds over the next several hours. So here's my updated tropical system impact index forecast here. And the only difference here is I did downgrade the 3 out of 5 here since we're not going to experience category 1 winds anymore. So we've downgraded to a level 2 out of 5. So there's a 2 out of 5 across parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Southern Vermont, New Hampshire, southeastern New York, northeastern Pennsylvania, and even for parts of northeastern New Jersey as well, which also includes New York City. And you have that 1 out of 5 across parts of South Central New Hampshire, Vermont, Southeast Central New York, Northeastern Pennsylvania, even for Northeast Central New Jersey as well. Let's go into a little bit more detail. Here's the wind forecast that you do see with that 2 to 5 zone. That's where you can experience tropical storm winds, which some of these places are already experiencing tropical storm winds right now. But even for areas across parts of northeastern New Jersey, southeastern New York, far southern Vermont, and New Hampshire could expect tropical storm winds over the next several hours before it dies out to a tropical depression. Here's the rainfall totals here, and you can see here in this 1 to 5 zone, so where we can see 2 to 5 inches of rain. But in that 2 out of 5 zone, that's where we can see 5 to 8 inches of rain. And I've been kind of going back and forth this morning here if I should add an area of 3 to 5 zone where some areas could see 8 plus inches of rain. I think some places could see 8 plus inches of rain in that area, but I think it's going to be too isolated to issue a 3 out of 5 there for right now. I may change my mind later today. We'll see about that. But areas in that 2 to 5 zone definitely need to watch for the chance for a lot more rain over the next several hours here. Even that 1 to 5 zone here, 1 out of 5 zone, I should say, could see quite a bit of rain, as well with where some areas could see 2 to 5 inches of rain as well. Here's the store predictors tornado risk, and they only got a 1 out of 5, well, really a 2% chance across parts of Rhode Island and then eastern Massachusetts as well, with a 2% chance for a tornado in a 25-mile radius of any given point in that area. So that kind of keeps the forecast at 1 out of 5 on the scale. So overall, areas in southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, southeastern New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, northeastern New Jersey, even for far northeast of Pennsylvania, needs to watch for possibly some major impacts over the next couple hours here. There's going to be some isolated areas that could see some major impacts. It is zoned in here, especially across parts of the southeast central New York area, where some places could see a significant amount of rain. But these areas here still need to watch for some of these impacts here over the next several hours. The main threat would be tropical storm winds and heavy rainfall in some of these regions as well over the next several hours. So that's pretty much the tropical side of things done. This is not the only thing we have to watch later today here. It's not only tropical storm Henri we need to watch, we also need to watch severe weather across parts of the Central and Northern Plains. So this is the SPC outlook here for today. We do have a slight risk for severe weather across parts of eastern South Dakota, eastern Nebraska, western Iowa, far southwestern Minnesota, far northern Kansas, and far southeastern North Dakota as well. All hazards are possible in some of these areas. We do have that 5% chance for a tornado at 25-mile radius of any given point. And the tornado threat will be elevated today. Damage winds and hail will also be there as well, which some of that hail could be large. You do have that marginal risk, like my map showed, for that low end tornado risk. Tomorrow, there's no risk for severe weather anywhere in the United States, but in day 3, there's a marginal risk across parts of the Midwest. So let's check out the latest Hermos model here. You do see here there is going to be a little random convection moving over some of these areas in here, which may help keep the atmosphere not as unstable than without it. But you do see here as you kind of go to later today to the afternoon to the late afternoon hours, you do start to see some of these thunderstorms develop, which some of these could produce large hail, damage winds, but even for a chance for tornadoes. And there could be a chance for a couple supercells, which the Hermos does show one significant supercell in East Central South Dakota. I will take that as a grain of salt, but still, either way, there will be a chance for a couple supercells out there later today. You do see some of those storms develop across parts of southern Nebraska and far northern Kansas as well. This is what the Harris Dam is thinking of the severe weather setup. You do see some of that strong to severe thunderstorm activity here, which some of these could be supercells, really stretching from southeastern South Dakota even into central Nebraska. You do have another supercell across parts of northwest central Kansas as well. Any of these supercells have a better chance to produce a tornado as well. Not only that, but also for a chance for some large hail. If these storms start to cluster up, that's where you can probably see that best chance for some damage and winds as well, which is the highest name does show that potential. So we'll check out the surface-based cape, which Hard Snap does the best job. It looks like it's maybe a little bit slower with this, but you do see decent cape numbers as far north as parts of Nebraska, North Dakota, I should say. So we'll go further up north here, and we'll kind of we'll start up in central North Dakota, then central South Dakota, then central Nebraska, and then we'll go down to northern Kansas to see what this ball has to say. So this is for central North Dakota. Pretty small photograph, but they'll still be favorable for some tornado activity. There is enough story to Felicity to work with, so I think we can see at least a couple tornadoes up in central uh, North Dakota. So that 5% may need to be expanded further up north here. However, I do see that probably the reason why they're keeping it marginal is because the atmosphere is not really that unstable in the mid levels here. Not a lot of buoyancy going on there, and the equinox is where how tall these thunderstorms could go. And doesn't look to be that high at all. So this could be uh, some weaker supercells up there. Probably won't do a whole lot of anything. However, there is some good lap rates out there. Low lap rates is strong. Mid-level lap rates are good as well. So there could be some hail up there as well. And some of that could be large. But I'll say this is still lead to an all hazard type of threat. Damage to winds, maybe some large hail, and maybe even for some isolated tornadoes as well. These could be low top supercells up here. Get the fact that equinox it's not really going to be that high. It's up as high as 300 millibars up there. Let's go a little further south. Let's go into central South Dakota. You see what the higher zam is showing down there. Let's try that again here. I want to be sure because sometimes this website isn't always correct. It gives a something completely different out of nowhere else. Let's try this again here. Let's double check to make sure because I don't know if it's right or not. Okay, so it is correct and doesn't really show a tornado threat in this area here. There's like no wind shear to work with, story to felicity wise, no photograph. However, this is a favorable setup here for damage winds. I'll definitely say very, very strong low lap rates. I mean, 9.8 degrees Celsius per kilometer. That is pretty high for low lap rates. Mid level lap rates is also pretty strong. So this would be favorable for some large hail and damage winds. However, the tornado threats, if in this case, will stay pretty much zero. Given the factor, it's like no wind shear to work with up there. Let's go a little further south. We'll go into central Nebraska, and then we'll look into northern Kansas, and we'll end the video there. And this probably is contaminated. I think that's also incorrect. So let's try that again there because the cape there's not matching up with the actual map. So let's try that again. Sometimes this website does that. It's just becoming a more common issue over the last couple months. Alright, so this is a little bit more accurate. Okay, so this is correct. Again, strong level lap rates here. That could lead to a pretty good damage wind setup. And downdraft cape is pretty strong here. There is some wind shear and knots as well to work with, so some of these stuff could become a little organized. Wind shear, story to velocity wise, is pretty weak, so I don't say no tornadoes will happen in this area. But you also got a pretty good elevated mix layer there where you do have some dry air in the mid levels, which that could indicate for that could help increase that hail threat as well. So this would be a favorable setup here for large hail and damage winds as well. And by the looks of it into northern Kansas here, looks like there could be a cap in place. So we'll go back here a little bit further here. I think the Hermos Model may be a little bit slower than some of the other models as well. Yeah, it might be a little bit slower. Okay, this is better setup here than Nebraska. You do see here, uh, damage wind threats there. Downdraft cape 1600, that's a lot. Low of rates is also there. There's decent amount of instability. You do have that elevated mixer, which is going to help with that hail threat as well. There's actually some wind shear to work with, so there's probably that low wind tornado threat in this area as well, indicated by the Harris Nam. You also notice here in the low levels, there's wind direction of height here. If you go for the surface, it's straight out of the south, but then you go 850 millibars, it's from the southwest. Then 700 millibars, it's from the west. So there is quite a bit of wind direction of height here. So there's definitely a tornado threat in this area in here as well. So I'll say there will be a chance for isolated tornadoes, possibly some hail, and there could be some damage winds out there as well. So generally speaking here for the Harris Nam, the greatest tornado threat probably sticking around across parts of North Dakota here, with another area may have to watch for the possibility for tornadoes in northern Kansas. I'm sure the other malls may have a different preference, which we'll check that out very quickly and see if these malls here have a preference. You do see here up in North Dakota here, a little bit skittier with that instability. It's a little bit on the weaker side, but that's still favorable for some severe weather. You really only need 1,000 joules per kilogram of Cape to get some severe weather. That's really all you need. You do see here some degrees instability could be in place across parts of central Nebraska. This is the NAM SOTS here. It also shows a decent setup here for some isolated tornadoes as well. Story to Felicity number seems favorable. Damage wind threat is definitely there as well. Downdraft Cape 1100, lap rates is there. So this would be favorable for large hail, damage winds, and maybe some isolated tornadoes. If you go a little further south, if we get into central Nebraska, this will be the last setting we'll check out. You do see here, this seems like a favorable sounding here for a large hail with that elevated mix layer in place, strong lap rates. Downdraft Cape would be favorable for some damage winds. And there's some story to velocity here, so maybe a quick spin of tornado seems possible. So in this area here, may be favorable for damage winds and some large hail as well. So I think the two main threats to keep an eye on here for all areas may have to be the damage wind and hail threat. But I think the greatest tornado threat may stick around across parts of North Dakota, maybe into parts of South Dakota as well. So if you guys want to see some tornadoes or anything like that as a storm chaser, I'd probably rather go with maybe somewhere across parts of southeastern North Dakota and maybe into parts of South Dakota as well. If you want to see large hail or anything, go to Nebraska. I think that's where the greatest hail threat is going to be with that greater amount of instability. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you really like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys questions. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.